Monsieur Garneau.
Mr. Speaker, I abstain on behalf of the Government of Canada.
Mr. Garneau, abstention, abstention.
There you have it, Marc Garneau, a cabinet minister and actually a former leadership rival to Justin Trudeau, bravely abstaining in the House of Commons on a motion to condemn the Chinese Communist Party treatment of the Uyghur ethnicity, a Muslim group in Xinjiang province, to call that a genocide. Well, Marc Garneau and the entirety of the cabinet bravely abstaining. They'll neither say it was or it wasn't a genocide. They didn't have that same ambiguity when it comes to Canada being a genocide. Here's a quick recap of Justin Trudeau not hesitating at all. He says it rather matter-of-factly in just a few moments. It's no big deal. Yeah, sure, we engaged in genocide. Here,
we accept the findings of the commissioners that it was genocide.
Yeah, of course. Canada commits genocide. China, whoo, well, we're not going to go there. Joining us now to talk about this is our friend Spencer Fernando, the boss of SpencerFernando.com. Great to see you again. Thanks for joining us today from Winnipeg. You know, if you think it's a genocide, say so. If you don't think it's a genocide, say so. Make your case each way. But to bravely run away is, I think, the most pitiful thing I've seen from a pitiful parliament in a year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's if this was a different prime minister, the best they could say was, okay, we're trying to, you know, maintain some sort of strategic ambiguity when we talk to China. Say, oh, well, the government didn't say you committed genocide, just the House of Commons. But this isn't any prime minister. I mean, this is Justin Trudeau. You know, we've all seen him when he said he admired China. It was the country he most admired. So it just, you know what, it just doesn't add up for this government to say, oh, well, we're just being smart about it. No, I mean, this is a guy who every chance he's had to kind of get in line with public opinion on China, he avoids it every single time. You know, there's not really any exceptions to that. Yeah. And so it's very interesting to see Liberal MPs, the vast majority of them, voting for the motion after what I'm guessing was a bit of a lobbying effort from Trudeau internally to get them to do otherwise. Huh. So there's some who are showing some courage today, which is good to see.
Yeah, you're talking about the backbenchers who just could not show their faces to their ridings. Backbenchers who have claimed to care about minorities and civil rights. It's bizarre to me. I mean, just a week ago, the news came out that Justin Trudeau's government had approved $4.8 million as a gift, a kind of foreign aid to Huawei, the Communist Party connected tech company. Trudeau wasn't abstaining on that. He wasn't wishy-washy on giving $4.8 million in foreign aid, essentially, to the world's largest economy. He's resolute on that. When the Canadian military wanted to cool off joint training projects with China, he was furious with that. But to actually call it genocide by its proper name, he won't even show up. I find that odd. I just think that if you can't say the name of your foreign policy, if you can't say it, if you're literally hiding from the House of Commons, that in itself is probably a sign that you're doing it wrong. If you can't bear the consequences of it for or against, if you're literally hiding under your desk, I think that's a sign you're off course. What's the payoff? I just don't understand this as a kind of diplomacy. Almost 3 years or 2.5 years after the kidnapping of the two Michaels, surely Trudeau knows this does not work.
Yeah, you know, there's a few things I think about. One is that, you know, if you look back at Trudeau's history, his father was very much obviously pro-communist and pro-China, a big fan of dictatorships, communist dictatorships. So I think that a lot of that was instilled in Trudeau from a young age, and I think he really can't break out of it. I think that's still his mindset. I think at his core, he's much more of a pro-dictatorship or pro-China than he is pro-Western civilization, for example, you know, pro-Canada, the Anglosphere, the US, the UK, that history. And I think he just can't break out of it. And then I think there's some people who, and it's not necessarily that they're bought off or anything, but I think there's some people who are unable to adjust to how China's changed. You know, I think around 2005, 2010, you know, you could be forgiven for thinking, well, China's probably going to, even though the Communist Party will still be in charge, they're probably going to become a little more democratic, a little more open. You know, it's going to be more like kind of a normal country. It's going to be fine. And it just hasn't turned out that way. China's getting more and more authoritarian, more bullying of their partners, the people in the region, their human rights abuses. You know, obviously what's happening with the Uyghurs, the genocide there, is getting worse and worse. And I think some people just can't really accept what China's become and are just kind of caught in some sort of fantasy world and just hope, oh, we just won't talk about it. It's all going to go away. Yeah. And of course, history shows that never works.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.